This story is about delivery riders who receive strange orders from mysterious places where no one is present. After reaching these places, they encounter peculiar drones that are vastly different from human understanding. What happened to these delivery boys at such places, and why did anyone who went there get trapped or couldn't make it out alive? Watch the video till the end to find out and subscribe to the channel. Press the bell icon for updates on upcoming stories. I was a delivery rider for a famous company and worked in food delivery for almost 2 years. However, for about a year, the orders for the company's riders would either come from a mansion near a distant jungle where no one lived and had been closed off for a long time, or from an industrial area. Whenever the riders went to deliver, they would either disappear or barely make it back alive, quitting their jobs out of fear. This happened to my friend as well, and it wasn't the first time. It was the second time. The first time he received an order from that scary mansion near the jungle, he became very quiet. He received an order from an industrial area, and when he returned, he was extremely scared. He said he would quit his job and never do it again. No matter how much I asked, he kept saying the same thing. I advised him not to make any decision yet, to go home and think calmly about it. I was worried about what had finally happened to him. After all, I was also a food delivery boy, and what was happening to everyone else could eventually happen to me too. I was so distressed that I couldn't sleep all night thinking about it. And as soon as I woke up in the morning, I went to my friend's house to find out what had happened to him. I went to his house and his wife opened the door. "Hello, Auntie. Is Tim okay?" I asked as soon as his wife opened the door. "No, he's not feeling well. Ever since he came back from work, he's had a fever," she replied, concern in her voice. "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Can I see him?" I asked politely. "Of course, come in," she said, stepping aside to let me enter. I walked into the room where my friend was lying on the bed, looking pale and weak. "Hey, buddy, what happened?" I asked, sitting beside him. He looked at me for a moment, then sighed before speaking. I don't know how to explain it. It's all so strange," he said, his voice shaky. "It's okay, take your time, just tell me what happened," I encouraged him. He took a deep breath before starting to speak. "You know those weird orders we've been getting lately? Well, I got one from that old mansion near the jungle. When I reached there, it was like something out of a horror movie. Drones hovering ominously in the air, their mechanical hum filling the silence of the abandoned place. Yet, despite their presence, there was no sign of any living soul around." Summoning his courage, he pressed the doorbell, and to his astonishment, the door swung open on its own accord. Hesitantly, he stepped inside, only to be greeted by a chilling silence that seemed to suffocate him. Suddenly, a voice called out his name from somewhere within the darkness of the mansion. Startled, he turned around but found no one there. Before he could comprehend what was happening, the door slammed shut behind him, sealing his fate within the mansion's walls. Frantically, he tried to open the door, but it remained stubbornly shut, as if mocking his attempts to escape. Panic rising within him, he searched for another way out and stumbled upon a window with no glass. Without a second thought, he hurled himself through the window, narrowly escaping the clutches of whatever malevolent force lurked within the mansion. As he ran for his life, he could still hear the echoes of strange and unearthly sounds reverberating behind him, a haunting reminder of the horrors he had narrowly escaped. I was listening to him with a keen interest, and then yesterday, I got another order from an industrial area, and I saw something there. Something I can't explain, he said, his voice trembling with fear. He said that when he arrived at the industrial area to deliver the food, he was met with a chilling sight. There were many people there, but something was wrong. They all wore white clothes, and their eyes glowed a sinister red in the darkness. Their faces were twisted into ghastly grins, sending shivers down his spine. Feeling a sense of unease, my friend cautiously approached them, his heart pounding in his chest. But as he got closer, he realized that these were not ordinary people. Their movements were jerky and unnatural, as if they were puppets being controlled by some unseen force. Suddenly, one of them turned towards him, its eyes locking onto his with a terrifying intensity. It beckoned him closer with a crooked finger, its grin widening into a malevolent smile. Fearing for his life, my friend turned to run, but he found himself surrounded by strange figures. Their laughter echoed in his ears, sending chills down his spine. They were so scared that he pushed past them and ran as fast as he could. The sound of their laughter followed him into the night, even though he got away alive. I paid close attention as he talked about what happened, and his words sent chills down my spine. It was clear that whatever happened to him had hurt him greatly. During the day, I asked my friend to go with me to those places and talk to people who might know what happened there and why it was happening now. At first, he said no, but after I kept asking him, he reluctantly agreed. First, we went to the mansion and asked people around, but no one knew anything. Suddenly, our eyes fell on a hut a short distance away where an old woman lived. She told us that although she didn't know much, she had heard from some people that some mischievous boys used to gather there, harassing passers-by, sometimes even robbing them. It was common for them to intimidate anyone who came and went, sometimes even stealing money from them. One day they ordered pizza, and when the delivery girl came, they refused to pay and behaved very rudely with her. They locked her in this house. Perhaps she was afraid of the dark. She screamed to let her out, saying she was scared, but they left her like that and left from there. The next morning, her body was found in the house. It turned out she'd had a heart attack out of fear. It was a terrible thing that happened to her. Saying this, the old woman got busy with her work, and we also took permission and left from there. The next day, we went to the industrial area to find out what had happened there and who the people in white clothes were. When we arrived, the area was completely deserted. No one was present. The factory from which the order had come was also closed. We tried to find a way to get inside somehow, and eventually we found a way in. A chill went down our spine as we walked into the empty building. The air was thick with dust, and the sound of our steps rang in the empty halls, making me feel uneasy. The place had a creepy vibe because broken machinery was lying around, covered in dust and rust. The walls were lined with shelves filled with half-finished rolls of fabric, their colors faded and threadbare. Spools of thread lay strewn across the floor, tangled and forgotten. The windows were boarded up, letting in only slivers of dim light that made the darkness feel even more oppressive. As we ventured into the factory, we encountered a room that sent chills down our spines. It was filled with rows of old sewing machines, their needles frozen in mid-stitch as if time had stood still. The air grew colder, and a sense of dread washed over us like a tidal wave. Suddenly, we heard a faint whisper, barely audible over our pounding hearts. We froze in terror, straining to make out the source of the sound. Was it the wind? Or something far more sinister? Just then, a door creaked open somewhere in the darkness, sending us scrambling for cover. We huddled together, but nothing came. The factory remained silent, its secrets hidden in the shadows. With trembling hands, we returned to the entrance, vowing never to return to this cursed place again. We couldn't get rid of the feeling that we'd found something much scarier than we'd thought when we came out into the light. As soon as we walked outside, a man was standing close. We discovered he worked near a plant when we asked him about it. When we asked him about the factory, he he explained that many people had died there. It turned out that a large group of workers ordered their food from the same company that used to have their lunch together. On that fateful day, they had ordered food as usual. However, after they ate, one by one they all fell ill and died. Later, it was discovered that the negligence of the company had led to poison being accidentally mixed into the food, resulting in their deaths. We thanked the man for sharing all this information. We returned home with heavy hearts, thinking about how sometimes people become so self-centered that they inadvertently become the cause of pain for others, even though it may not be their intention. What lessons did you learn from this story? Share with us and subscribe now for more thrilling adventures.